Hello, my name is Amber and you're Betty?
Yes.
Hi Betty, it's very nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in and meeting with me today. I wanted to ask you what's brought you in today?
I'm just having a lot of anxiety lately. Some trouble at work, a little bit at home.
Okay. All right, and I want to definitely bring those into our session. I wanted to make sure that we get an idea of what we're looking at today for the reason that you are coming in. So I first want to go over just a few things with you. Just as we get to know each other, I want to let you know about confidentiality. Confidentiality is where everything remains in our session unless you make mention of harming yourself or harming others, in which case we would bring another professional in to meet with us to ensure that we have a plan of safety for you. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Now, I went over some of the information that you filled out today. Thank you so much for thoroughly getting the information there. It allows us to start with a better understanding of what's going on. So I see that you're 28. You've just recently graduated college with your paralegal degree. That's a big accomplishment.
Thank you.
No problem. And I see that you're currently cohabitating with your partner and your mom. Is that correct?
Yeah. My partner and I, we've been together for about 8 years or so, but we only recently moved in together, so it's only been a couple years that we've been living together, and the whole time it's been with my mom.
Wow. So that is a big adjustment to go from being with someone for 6 years and then to in turn cohabitate with them, and then also in this time frame only be cohabitating with your mom. So I imagine that those adjustments from not only cohabitating with your partner, but then also you and your partner cohabitating with your mom.
Yeah.
I can see that probably would bring about some issues there. Do you have any concern about those relationships?
A little bit. I think some of my anxiety might come from those relationships as well. Sometimes it's hard to know how I should navigate situations, especially living under my mom's roof and having to deal with her rules and, this, that, and the other. And I just wishing that my partner and I could afford to move out on our own and have our own private space.
Definitely. And I can imagine that living with your mom and having a history with her, that can also shade the relationship that you're having with your partner and any other relationships. I mean, if you're living with someone for an extended period of time and it is, your mom, sometimes you can have anxiety about whether or not you're able to successfully have a relationship as an adult with your mom and your partner together. So that is definitely something that we can take a look into. We want to be able to give you some better coping skills to help you be able to have a better relationship with your mother and your partner, and see if we can facilitate a way for all of those things to work together for you. Okay, and are you familiar with cognitive behavioral therapy?
Not really.
Okay, so cognitive behavioral therapy is the way that our thoughts affect our actions and our emotions. So what we're looking at with cognitive behavioral therapy is helping us to identify the thoughts that are causing us, in your case, anxiety. We want to identify those thoughts so that we're able to discover when they're happening, and to be able to give you an opportunity to deal with it before it has gotten to an extraordinarily high stress level for you. Do you have any coping techniques that you currently use?
I used to do yoga a lot, so I know how to do deep breathing techniques and things like that. I also have a prescription of Xanax, but I heard it's really addictive, so I don't really want to take it that often. That's really all I have going for me, but it doesn't seem like I can ever remember to use them or utilize those techniques when I'm having anxiety.
Right. Well, it's good that you know that a Xanax prescription is an option for you, but it's also good that you know that there are ramifications of it. That you know that this is something that is very serious, and that um, there are people who do have a problem with it. But it appears to me that you are taking it seriously and not using it as something that not using it recreationally or giving yourself any free reason to use it. Would you be willing to try and do the deep breathing again?
Yeah, I can try to do it. It's just remembering to do it in the moment because when I get anxious, I just can't really think about anything else but my anxiety.
Mhm. So, is there a particular time that you're noticing when your anxiety is to the level that you're unable to control it?
A lot of times it happens at work. I have a lot of paperwork I have to get done, a lot of reports to write, um, and it just seems like they keep piling up and piling up and piling up, and I just don't really know if I can get it all done, and I worry that I'm not good enough and that I can't really get it done because I'm a fraud.
Well, that's definitely a logical way to think. A lot of people feel that way. Um, but being a fraud, you've accomplished a big milestone that a lot of people have not accomplished. You went through school and you graduated and you got your degree in paralegal studies. Um, that's actually something that's very positive that you've done. Have you noticed a change in the way that you were able to cope during school versus the way that you're coping now?
I guess I could cope a lot better in school. Everything seemed a lot easier and I understood it, but now that I'm in the real world, I'm having a lot more trouble adjusting.
Okay. Was it the structure of school that you think helped you? Having particular deadlines, knowing in advance when things were due, having someone to work with. Were there any parts of those things that really helped you or help you um, cope better during your time at school?
Probably, I think having those deadlines really mapped out and having someone to work with and feeling like I was able to talk to professors was really helpful. At work, I don't really know if I can talk to my supervisor about how I'm feeling.
Hmm. Well, that's understandable. That would be very difficult to not know where to start, where to get help, where to ask, especially when you come from an environment where you have had the opportunity to ask, to be present, to speak to someone who knows exactly what you're going through. Um, and I think that we probably can work with getting you some other time management skills, which will help too. Although the stress and anxiety may not go away completely at this particular time early on in our sessions, I think that we'll be able to give you a better way to prioritize what's going on at work and another way to prioritize the things that are happening in your personal life with your partner or with your mom. Um, so what I would like to have you do before next session is I would like to see if we can get you to try some of the deep breathing techniques that you've used before. If you can have a journal with you also. What I would like you to do is when you get to a point of anxiety that you feel you are unable to cope with it, I would like to see when you're trying to do those deep breathing techniques.
Okay.
I'd like to see at what stress level you're looking to utilize those, because if we wait too long to utilize those coping mechanisms, sometimes the anxiety gets out of control, and if we're able to address it sooner, that will give us a head start on getting things done in a good time, and allow you to have less anxiety because we'll have things more mapped out for you.
Okay.
Did you have any other questions?
No, I don't think I have any questions right now. For the journaling, well, I guess I do have some questions about the journaling. I would just be writing down when I do the deep breathing.
What I would like you to do is to write down, for example, when you get to work, if there is a meeting first thing in the morning and you have to have paperwork ready to go into that meeting. When you get in, take a chance to assess how you're feeling. Once you've done that, if you've noticed that your anxiety level is raising in response to feeling perhaps hurried into a meeting or that you're not able to get things done in appropriate time, we want to make sure that we're able to pinpoint when those times are. So when you notice yourself having anxiety, we want to go ahead and have you journal that, write it down.
Okay.
But also write down your feelings that you're having. You can write about it's this meeting that I'm having concerned about, and then look at it from another standpoint of what level of anxiety are these particular tasks causing me.
Okay.
And then whenever you're able to write down what you're feeling, if you're able to gauge that you're having anxiety before you get overwhelmed with the anxiety, try the deep breathing techniques
Okay.
and make sure that you notate that in there as well so that we can see at what point those things are happening.
Okay, so I would just be writing down like my thoughts and feelings
Yes.
about my anxiety and if I did deep breathing.
Right. And anything that may come up that you're concerned about. I mean, it doesn't have to be only work. You can talk about communicating with your partner or with your relationship with your mother. That way we can get a clearer idea of what's happening and we can address some techniques that will help you going forward so that essentially you'll be able to notice when these things are happening. You'll be able to recognize it and you'll be able to take the steps that you need to be able to keep your anxiety level at a manageable level or to completely get rid of it, which would be our ideal goal.
Okay.
So, is there anything else that you want to ask?
No, I think that's all.
Okay, well, thank you so much.